Here we go, folks. Simon here. This is game 2 of the dopeMedic versus MehrGills semifinals match of the second Intermediate Invitational Tak Tournament of 2022. We just saw MehrGills win in game 1 with a Dragon Claws, no less. Including, I have the stats here, the 721st Dragon Claws in PlayTak history out of over 500,000 games. And we're about to see game 2 played with dopeMedic in white, MehrGills in black. They are playing on a 6x6 board with 15 minutes on the clock, 10-second increment. That means 10 seconds added to their clock after every turn. And 2 Comey, meaning that if the game does not end in a road, 2 gets added to black's flat count score. So here we are, the Seek is up. We are ready to go with game 2 of dopeMedic versus MehrGills. And we see right off the bat, opposite corners played. Opposite corners. And dopeMedic going straight here for that center control. And then playing the standard mirrored opening here for these players. Now, I say standard mirrored opening. It was the standard 2 years ago in the Tak Open in 2020. But it has been sort of replaced by a bunch of other openings that people have been doing. We saw the hug last game. We see the Knights opening a lot. This time we're seeing the mirrored opening, which we don't see too often anymore because people have sort of figured out what to do in that situation, and there's not much variability for the first 6 or so moves. But we're seeing MehrGills take his time here trying to figure out what to do in this situation. I think that at this point you want to place at C2 and then capstone at E3 after white plays up at D5. This position is too strong to be capstoning here because white plays maybe a flat or a capstone here at C2 and then already has a great line for the horizontal at the bottom. It's too good because of the starting stone. Yeah, I feel like that's just a turn too early. They wanted to play here first. But we're probably going to see a flat or a capstone here at C2 from white. Now, I do talk about this opening and a number of other openings in the openings video of Tak University, which you can check out, and talk about the different ways to sort of unfold those and to counter them and that sort of thing, how to play in each situation. I also talk about optimal capstone placements, like we saw from here. It was a solid capstone placement in the capstones video of Tak University. I talk about where best to place your capstone and some guidelines about how to place the best capstone. This is in a pretty good spot here. Black comes down. White's going to fill in here at C1, continue it. Black can come down with the cap or the flat here. Probably wants to do it with the cap. Doesn't want to make too many flat on flat captures too early. We talk about that in the captures video of Tak University. You know, I've covered a lot of things on Tak University, and I try to stick to just the basic strategy, the things that are most important that I feel like are really going to elevate your game. And so these just happen to be coming up now because they are so foundational. That's the good word. That's what I was searching for. So foundational to any Tak strategy. Black here setting up to be able to make this vertical line. White doesn't want that to happen. Goes for the self-capture and the hard capstone. That is a bold move, but I feel like it's probably going to pay off for him. And the reason I say that is because hard capstones are really, really strong. They can be able to make these threats even when there's walls involved and just really, really tear apart a lot of what you're hoping to do. So I think we might see on the next turn here, depending on what black does, we might see C1 come up. Now, if C1 comes up, white's got a threat here in the horizontal just by going to the right. And the way that black can stop that, they'll likely try to stop that, is come down with c3. If he comes down with c3, I can see white coming over with both flats onto d2 here. But that's not going to happen because black played at b1. So if c1 comes up, black's going to come up with b1 to interrupt instead. And I think that's a smart play from black. Being able to play there at b1 really gives him more options to respond to what white's doing here. And it also just honestly helps his vertical threat line that he's going for and potential for a horizontal. White plays here at b3, ready to basically setting up to be able to come down onto b2 in case b1 comes up. Now I think c1 is ready to come up and make that threat. c1 comes up. If b1 comes up, then b3 comes down, stops that. So he's going to come down with c3. And then I think if he comes down with c3, we're going to see both. So 2d2 left right here onto this. So both of these flats, I think, the flat and the cap are going to come left onto c2 if that happens. So black's probably not going to make that move here. Black's probably going to make a move on this side of the board, maybe bringing the capstone to the right onto e1. That would stop the threat, at least momentarily, and also work towards his own vertical here. White would play at f2. Black would come right onto f2. Yeah, so that's what happened. Capstone comes right. Does white play at f2? If white plays at f2, then black will come right onto f2 with e2. So it'll be e2 right. But if that doesn't happen, no, white's going to play up here at e4. I was wondering if he was going to do that, because now if he plays at f4 on the next turn, he's got a threat. Now, black can make a vertical or a horizontal threat, or both right here. So if he plays here at a4, that's both. If he plays at b5 or at c5, that's vertical. He could play elsewhere. Also, he could play at f3 or f2 to make a horizontal. f2 would make a horizontal and keep white from making that move, at least initially. This is, while both players have things going on right now, okay, he plays instead at b5, so this is now a vertical threat. White's got to stop that. Comes up with both. So brings both of them up, maintains that hard capstone. That's a really smart move. Smart move to make there. Now, black could potentially come down here on to c2, or could drop a wall here at c1 or at d2. Decides to drop the wall at d2. Smart move there also. White just drops a flat, saying, hey, that's fine. I'm making my tak threat, and that wall doesn't do anything to stop me, because this capstone can come left or down to make that road. So black's got to stop that here. It's looking really, really good for white here, but it's not anywhere close to a Tinue yet. It is not a forced win here. Black can still come back and do some work, but black's capstone is it's got a lot of these white flats underneath, and that's going to make it really difficult. I think here we're going to see white's capstone come up with the black flat. All three are coming up onto d4, I think. No, instead placing it at a1. I wonder what the logic was behind a1 as opposed to coming up onto d4 and renewing that threat. Black now has the wall here ready to come left and make a really strong +3 flat count differential move. It's a really strong move there. White placing an A3, trying to maintain that horizontal connection if black comes left with that stack. But it is not a road threat even at this point because it doesn't have that connection here at D4. I do think bringing the whole stack up onto D4 would have been the play. It would have resulted in black coming up onto E4, but I think that it would have ultimately worked out for white. Black taking his time here. We do also note that dopeMedic is right on 15 minutes, so he's been playing on average 10 seconds per turn, very quickly. Whereas MehrGills is down to 11 minutes. He's used up 4 of his minutes from the clock, which means that, 20 turns in, that's more time. 20 times 10 seconds. That's 200 seconds, which is more time. That's all over 3 minutes. I had to think about that for a second, how much that was. All right, so black deciding to go for just a connection up here in the vertical, trying to make threats, trying to force his position. White trying to force threats. Black coming left, making that threat. If white comes down with C4 here, then A2 can come up and cut off that threat. And it can cut off the threat in a way that white won't be able to smash the wall. Now this is an interesting play. White can't smash the wall because it'll lead to a road for black. What is white's play? Does white play at A2? It's not a bad idea. Black's capstone is still really out of the mix here. White instead plays at A4. Interesting. Still works towards this horizontal threat. Black building more buffer on this side, but also this may act as a buffer here at E5. But it also works for a vertical threat using this capstone that's been out of the game for so long. I think that's a smart play. That's a good move there for black. While it was basically white's game to lose for a while, it is now switching gears, and now black is doing some work here. I think we're going to see 2D for right, and that's what we saw. To stop that white tack threat, because that was a road threat. Black stopped it, made their own threat now. White comes over. Now we're going to see E5 come down for sure. Now white's going to drop a wall. Now, I say white's going to drop a wall, likely here at D4. Now, there's a bunch of reasons for this. Number one, we talk about all of these in the walls video of Tak University. It's just how to use a wall and how to use a wall offensively in a good way. There's a lot of ways to use a wall defensively. We know how to do that. It's pretty instinctive. Using a wall offensively is a very underrated skill. The current Tak champion, Fwib, he uses walls offensively. He's a big proponent of using offensive walls. Now, why you place a wall here at D4 to capture is because, yes, it may run up, but if you place it here, black can't come left and make a capture onto your line. Granted, if he does come left, your capstone's going to capture it. So e5 isn't a bad choice, I don't think. I think that might be better. After I worked it out, that if this stack came left, the capstone could come up and get more captives under it. That's not what you want. So yeah, he was probably hoping to spread upwards after a d4 wall to get away from it. But that stops that from happening. So now if he does spread left, he's got that cap to worry about. And honestly, because okay, this stack is here. He brings it right to escape the wall. All right. Totally viable. He might bring it down, and then the stack would go up, I'm sure. I mean, he could also flat here. He could flat at e4. Because if black takes it, then he brings the wall down on top. He walls instead. Now, this might go up, but then it'll be captured. Now, white needs to be thinking about the flat count here. And I guess they're weighing... Okay, this is a threat for black. Spreading left is a road threat. I wonder if that was there before. No, it wasn't. It was never there before. So spreading left with this stack is a road threat. White captures it, making a threat of their own. Black walls immediately to stop that threat from happening. I think we might see this come down a little bit. Just a little bit. So I think we'll see 4 f4 minus. No, maybe 5. 5 f4 minus, so we can come left and then up or down to complete the road. But nope, playing at a2 instead. I think what white's trying to do is white's going to try and capture onto b2. Get this to capture it, then he can throw this left and smash a3 and get all those captives back. I think that's what he's trying to do. So while white was dropping these walls and putting himself behind on flat count, he was really just playing the long game to get these stacks back so he could spread them out, make positive flat count differential moves later on down the road. Because he sees that he's got plenty of time. They've both got plenty of reserves left to make this game last a while. This is a solid one. This is a good one. All right, we see black drop a wall here to stop white from spreading this anywhere. Really wants to keep white from doing that. And I think that's a smart play. One, because this could do some damage down the road. But white wants to get this stack. And... okay. No, white's just going to play up to go for the smash to make the smash be the final move. Okay, that makes sense too. Is he going to make a capture onto c6 now that black played inexplicably at c2? I don't know why he played at c2. I do not know why c2. Potentially because he expected a2 right at some point instead of the capture over. So this is a threat now. White captured. Left onto b5. Throwing this capstone left would be a road. Now, black wants to move this stack. That's for sure. Definitely wants to move that stack. Moving it upward allows them to try and recover the captive. Moving it down just runs away. So I think moving it upward was a smart choice here. Works better in the long run. I think white's going to place at a3 and renew the threat immediately. That seems like a good play. So the threat is now renewed. He can capture left here with the capstone on here and go for that road. Now black has come over. Let's see how many this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So this is 7 tall, meaning that black can move this stack, but has to leave behind that bottom black flat, which works just fine. But after one move, not so fine anymore. So I think if we see this whole capstone move left, that makes a lot of sense, and that's exactly what happens. The whole capstone stack moved left. Now, what black wants to do here is place at a4. The reason I say that is because if he places at a4, white can't smash. The reason why white can't smash is if white smashes, it's not instantly a road, which means black can take the top flat off of this b3 stack and come left and make his own road. So white is stuck here. He's pinned from smashing. Can't make that smash. So that was a clever move, if I do say so myself. But no, I like that. Those are some of my favorite moves in Tak. When you see somebody about to do something and they're going to make like a smash move or a capture move, and it's going to be great, and it's going to really just destroy, then you place a flat in the wrong spot for them, and suddenly they're no longer able to do that because it would make them lose. Those are some of my favorite moves. But we see white respond by placing here at c3, continuing this threat. Placing here at c5 would be a road. So black needs to stop that. They can do that with just a flat here at c5. They can do it with a wall at c5. Either of those work just fine. Let's take a look at the flat count. They do drop the flat here. But Mediocre Tvorlin in the chat here, and he did win the previous Intermediate Invitational Tournament this year, so he knows what he's talking about. He's saying that it looks like black's going to win. The reason he's saying that is because white is behind on flats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 13 for black because there is 2 Comey. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for white. So 13 to 9, quite a bit behind. So black comes up with this wall stack. Now, white still can't smash. That is not a thing that white can do here. But if he plays at d4, he's able to come up here for a road threat. Also, if he plays at d6, same thing, road threat. I like d4 better because he can come over right with b6 after black places at d6. And that gives him a threat here or here. And so that's pretty nice. So I like d4 here better than d6. But this is an interesting one. It was looking so good for white for a while. Then it was looking really good for black. Now it's looking still pretty good for white. If white can manage to smash that stack at some point, it's basically game over. However, if white can't manage to smash that stack, they've got to do something clever and hope that black messes up. Oh, they go for the stack spread up. Now, the reason why that's interesting is it could potentially cause black to drop another wall here out of safety. And if they drop another wall there, that puts white in a better position in terms of flat count. But it also gives black the opportunity to drop a wall at d6, which all but guarantees their own victory. Which is something else to note. But no, it drops the wall at e6 instead of d6, which is very important and very different. And the reason is like what I just said. d6 would have basically dismantled all hope of a vertical threat here. Mediocre Twirlin saying that's the right move. I think d6 was the better one, specifically because white can still make threats with this d6 space, whereas sure they would have been able to move their wall over one more move, but they wouldn't have been able to do that. And here, black can now capture onto this spot with the wall. That's fine. But I think the placement there would have been stronger. Now, black placing a d4 doesn't do anything. A wall there would work fine, or a capture onto either of these would work fine. Those all work just fine there. But this is a tack threat for white. Mediocre to Borland in the chat saying e6 left. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. That looks like a no-brainer to me. I thought placing the wall there first would have been good. But no, instead he's coming left with b2. Oh, and okay. So he came left with b2, and I was worried for a second that this meant that white's capstone was unpinned. It is not unpinned. The capstone is not unpinned. If he smashes this, he still loses to a road. If he leaves one behind, or if he leaves one behind here or 0 behind here, either way, this spreads down for a road. However, white comes down with a3. I think that's really strong. I think this was a huge blunder for black. I think that singular move may have lost him the game. Now white has a lot of options to come back from this, specifically because of all these flats he can recover. And because we may be seeing him able to smash that wall stack pretty soon. That I would consider a big blunder. Maybe MehrGills isn't thinking about the Comey and how far ahead he was on flats. This is going to spread right, and it's going to maintain this vertical line and keep that vertical threat. Sure, the wall's going to come down right away, but that's going to spread over. Then this wall comes down onto a2 because this is a road threat again. If the wall comes over, a1 right. a1 right is good here. So if he takes a1 right, he maintains this threat of the vertical right. The reason why he doesn't want to just place at c1 is because then black's wall can come right and capture onto c2 and liberate those and come up again. So capturing right onto a1 means that if he does that, throws it over, this road can still be completed. So that was the right move here. Black can still come over with this wall. That's fine. Comes over just 1, though, onto b2. And then... oh. Oh, but black resigned. Okay. So he made a blunder by capturing down onto c4 and then immediately resigned because he saw that white could just win by placing at d4. So I was really weirded out by the resignation because typically we don't have people resign in Tak. Like that's not a thing. Like in other games like chess, people will resign if they feel like the game is lost. In Tak, we don't typically do that. And so it was just really weird. But apparently he does that when he makes a move that he feels like is immediately lost. He'll just hit resign when he plays against bots. So that's what he did here. So it was like muscle memory. But regardless, what that means is they have split their games. dopeMedic won as white and MehrGills won as white in the first game. That means they've split, so they will have to do a blitz tiebreaker match in order to determine who goes on to the finals, which is, that's tough. Blitz is tough. It's a very different game because those time controls, they get to you. So we're going to see that another day, not tonight. Too late. Too much time has gone on. I'm not doing that. If they do that, I won't cover it. So sorry. But I'm sure they're going to cover it. They're going to do it another day. But anyway, that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for all things Tak, especially the Tak Discord server, which is the community hub and where you can find all sorts of Tak resources like strategy guides and people to play with, whether that be online here on playtak.com or in the Discord itself asynchronously or on our map of players where you can find people to play in person. But again, that is it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a great day and happy tagging.